Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you another video. Alright, so I'm in prayer. The Holy Spirit has compelled me to speak because I had a real breakthrough this evening. A real breakthrough. And, if you watch my last video, you'll see me having it. There's help out there for people like myself. The correlation between the help and the people like myself wasn't even coming together in my head up until tonight, basically. To know that I could find special housing for people just like me. Special disability housing for people with mental health disorders that'll be affordable for people like me, because we can't work properly and a lot of us don't have what we need in life. The tools that allow us to keep a job, the tools that allow us to just do what everybody else do. And granted, I did it for a while, but I never actually lasted or did it any good. I was running on fumes most of the time working these security jobs. A lot of times I was just doing it because I had personality traits that allow for me to appear to be fine, work well with people, articulate, talented in that area, good with space, I'm not running around pushing up on people and stuff like that. And every once in a while, the mental illness would bleed through. I would do something that's a little off, or do something that is a little detached from what it is I should, and I look back on some of those actions and I realize, yeah, that was a byproduct of me either spending too much time isolated and then trying to reincorporate back into the sector, or just flat out trying to work around my anxieties and my feelings that were not really necessarily aligned with everybody else. I've been working around my mental health my entire life, man, and not really understanding that. For years and years and years and years and years, certain things that I did just to make myself feel comfortable, not really understanding that was a mental health thing. It was just me trying to manage my anxiety, or manage my depression, or manage my, fears, or whatever there was, I don't know. Manage how I perceive certain things, try to work around individuals so that I didn't have to head on deal with certain things. Particularly with the opposite sex, growing up not wanting to talk to girls, kind of would find myself standing next to a female that came over there to talk to me and not feeling nothing but deep anxiety about talking to her. Basically, I went through that for so long, and it kept me out of a lot of problems too. It kept me out of bad relationships, kept me from getting STDs, kept me from all kinds of stuff, but it also kept me from being normal in that way. Throughout my 20s and my teens, I can't tell you how many times women would clearly come around and talk to me, and I could not explain to you how anxious that made me feel. How I felt more comfortable in awkward silence than I would initiating conversation. Countless times, y'all. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't think I feel that these days. I don't think I've been allowing myself to even be in those situations. I say hi and bye, I communicate well with people. I don't really feel that no more. I really don't. But as far as me, like, okay, let's get at her, it was a lot of that was wrapped up in my perception of self. Didn't think I was handsome, you know what I mean? Nowadays, I've worked so hard on my body till I really can't convince myself that I'm not at least my best version of myself physically. So it's like, I don't know how much handsome I'm gonna get, but at least when I take my shirt off, I like what I see for myself, that is. But it's like, even then, it's like, I'm not the dude that's just gonna go to the bar or ask her out on the date. And I never, ever, ever did, and I know why that was. It's because I was managing my anxieties, and that was how it came off. Working around people. Remember that I told y'all about that girl I gave flowers to? You know why I felt compelled to give her flowers? Because I had a moment like that with her, where she was waiting for me to talk to her and I didn't. So what I did was work around that. I gave her flowers to apologize for not communicating with her when she was clearly wanting to communicate with me, and it ended up getting me in trouble with my job. But that was a mental health thing. And I remember when I was going to send those flowers, the Lord said to me in the spirit, basically, you're not it's not gonna work out the way you want it to, but I'm still gonna have your back, or something along those lines. And you will see that therapy session. It's back there. And when I was going through that process, I told you all about it. I think, if not, I told you about it later on. But like I said in a previous video, these therapy sessions have been there to prove me to be what it is that I ultimately was trying to figure out, because I never had nobody diagnose me with anything until this year. I never had anybody even take a look at my head until about 2 months ago, when everything went left with my living situation. After being in isolation over a year, for like the 5th time in my entire life, I've done this. I stay home by myself. Why? Manage anxiety. And it's like, yo, when you look at where I'm at right now in this very second, and I realize that there's help for people like me, living facilities that are cheap for people like me, I've been robbed of everything that I was due to receive for these problems. 4 years later, and I'm finding out that I have this problem, and there are people out there who understood it, and that I could have been getting so many benefits, could have been avoiding so many bad circumstances, could have been avoiding so many different awkward moments. All of this is like, whoa, my whole life is gone now, man. And there was always help for me. It was always bread for me. There was always assistant programs and group programs and stuff that maybe could even coerce me out of those norms, that could have helped me be a little more comfortable around others, could have helped me not want to be in isolation. Nobody suggested to me that such things existed for me. Nobody. And it's like, that's fine, but I'm not going to be that nobody for somebody else. You're going to see all these therapy sessions, and you're going to see me lead up to this very night where I realized, for the fullness of what it's worth, that I've been struggling with trying to manage my mental health. And there was always help. And as I told you guys yesterday, I wanted to leave the earth, because it had gotten this bad. And even though I was fine with, knowing that I'm ill, I already came to that conclusion. The fullness of the fact that there are places for people like me, that I don't have to be ashamed that I don't have money because I don't want to work. You know what I mean? And that I do want to work. If my head was on straight, I probably would work. If I didn't have anxieties, I probably wouldn't even think to not be able to operate properly within these jobs. It's like, that's what it is. Can I operate properly when I get there? Can I choose to go there? When I get there, will I not be in the red, so to speak? It's like, yo, I just don't want to be another person letting people think that this is something they have to be ashamed of, or have to work around, or that they ain't help out there no more, man. There is help out there. And please, for all you sane individuals that follow me, do understand this. There is help out there for people like us. Don't guilt trip those of us who are in your life to get it right. They ain't gonna get it right. It's not meant for them to necessarily be on your frequency. You can operate without these tendencies. You don't have to work around your own brain, and you're not expected to understand people who do. But do study me enough to know such people exist. When somebody say they got mental health concerns, but they talented or they artists, understand that they go hand in hand. A lot of times that's what makes them as creative as they are, that they have these anxieties, the frequency that they can create from within. Look at people like Kanye West. It's like, yo, that dude is ill as hell, and he's more talented than just about everybody else. He's more intelligent than just about everybody else, but his head messes with him like mine messes with me. Or in a different way. Maybe a different way. But the point is, don't expect him to have it all together, or expect the next thing that comes out of his mouth to finally be sane, because the boy has been ill his whole life. And it wasn't his mom passing away that made him ill. He was ill before that. Just like it wasn't my mom's passing that made me ill. I was ill before that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's a real thing that needs to be understood. And there's probably plenty other people, probably 1 million or more people out there who have some sort of mental illness that has not been diagnosed, especially in the black community, because we don't really tell each other it's okay to even be ill. It's like, nah, mental health is an excuse. You get out there and you deal with it, you suck it up. No, you do not. What you're going to do is crash doing so. How many of these people out in these streets that are really the true coldest of the cold in the streets, or those in jail who've coerced themselves through all these bad decisions, people who have drinking problems, drug problems, trying to cope with this right here? Raised in households where they didn't know they had help coming available to them. They didn't know that there was mental health issues that ultimately coerced them to make the decisions that would make them an addict, and they were guilt tripped and pushed around and told that they were low, lousy, lazy, all types of other stuff that was never really the crux of what was the problem. It was that they had some type of mental health concern and they didn't know the first thing about it. 40 years it took me. I'm almost 40. I'm gonna be 40 next year. 39 years, y'all. Been dealing with this my whole life. Whole life. I want the next generation that comes after us to be so much more aware of this, man. I don't want it to be a conversation where people are like, well, he got it together. Look at Ben Simmons. He's just... No, Ben Simmons is sick, y'all. He been sick. He been sick. Anytime you're a basketball player as talented as him and you're afraid to shoot the basketball, that is a sign of you being ill. And just because he articulates well and he has an attitude that makes it seem like he got it all together, maybe you think he's arrogant or kind of, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. It's about what's in his head and how he's taking on the world that's coming at him and how he perceives what it is that he's involved in from moment to moment. That's what I was explaining to y'all last year. I knew that boy was ill before he even said it. If he would have said he wasn't ill, I'd have been like, you lying. And it's because I get it. And even in getting it, I didn't fully get it because there's help for us. While I was telling y'all that about him, I didn't realize that I was in the middle of a mental health episode because I wasn't leaving the house. I was on month 6 of isolation and very comfortable in it. And the only way I was going to work my life was to make sure that I was comfortable in isolation. Trying to hold AMC shares, hoping it would squeeze so I could work around my anxiety and need to stay isolated. It's the real truth. Even now, I'm trying not to find myself in a shelter so I can stay isolated. That may be the only place I have to go, and I'm talking about, nah, I'd rather jump off a roof to die in order to not have to go through a circumstance like that. Smart, intelligent, able, not throwing crap around the room. Nah, but this is how I perceived the world coming at me. And you saw it yesterday. You could see it written on my face in them therapy sessions I did yesterday. I was struggling to just want to survive because I couldn't manage that anymore. Everything I had done to manage my mental health pushed me to this space. And the Lord said, I need one day. I know what he meant now. One more day of you thinking that way. Just give me one more day of you feeling that way. Never again will you ever feel that way again, because now it's like me managing my mental health was pointless. I should have been telling everybody who listened to me, I'm sick, I need help. Let me go to the nearest shelter center and tell them that I'm sick and need help. And if they ain't gonna take me, let me go to the nearest doctor's office and tell them I'm sick, I need help, because this is what it is. Me trying to manage it, I'm surprised I even survived this long. All the things it takes to keep me comfortable. Man, you can't survive like this unless there's help. Can you believe it? Unless I look back on myself, isolating for a whole year. When I was 22 years old, I didn't leave the house. The whole 22nd year, I did not leave the house. Last year, didn't leave the house. 38, never left. I think it was 16 after I left Children's Club. Isolated, comfortable. Play video games for hours on end, 7 hours, 8 hours. Obsessing over the game, playing the only one mode every day for almost a whole year. Two seasons worth of NBA 2K. Only played one mode. Online. thousands and thousands and thousands of games. Kid you not, I'm not playing it all. No exaggeration. Just like I do everything at super volume, I did that at super volume. 7,718 playlists, 7,200 something art pieces. God knows how many entries on this damn thing. I've never counted, but 500 plus therapy sessions, probably over 500 Laker channel entries. Who knows how many I did before? Everything I do is in volume, man. Like I'm a freaking machine, and it's because my head's wired this way. It's like I'm having an epiphany about my own mental health and how I was trying to manage it, how I thought it was not normal, but to see it as not normal and still have to manage it was normal. I guess that's what it was. It was like, yeah, I know I'm not all right, but everybody needs me to be, so let me just try to make it happen. Fail. Hate myself about it. Fall into deep depression about it. Beat myself up further about it even when I come out of that depression. I think about everything I've ever done. My mother's like, you gotta get to work. I can't. Why don't you just walk down the street? I don't know. My mother was sick. All I could do was bring myself to eat the same thing every day, which is another thing, and jog every day. That was it. Stretch, jog, play video games, sleep, routine, because it was manageable. Because if I have to do things that are not manageable, I'm always going into the red dealing with other people and stuff. And that was the no. I ain't trying to do nothing social. I don't have a social life because of the anxiety has kept me from ever having the conditioning to even open myself up to a social life. My mom wanted to go eat. You want to eat inside the restaurant? No. Why don't you never want to sit down with me? I just don't. I had anxiety, Mom. My anxiety made it so that I didn't want to be around people like that. You were a social butterfly, I was the opposite. So she would get frustrated with me, like, well, can we just go sit down? No. Hell no. I would rather not. Why? Because I don't want to be in this restaurant tonight. I'm feeling like being isolated. I just didn't know how to tell her that. I didn't understand it at all. And like I'm looking back on all of my behavior that she used to get frustrated with. It's like, nah, that was me managing my head. That was me managing my head. And that was me managing my head. And every bit of routines that I kept was to keep me from having to adapt to things that did not feel comfortable to me. Which was literally just about every damn thing. I know myself a lot better now than I did this morning. That's what the Lord was talking about when he said he needed a day. The reason why I have the relationship with God that I do is because I spent so much time alone that allowed me to apply him in the way that I do. I realize that most people don't have that time. They don't never get to apply God like that because they're too busy doing all that normal stuff that y'all do. And y'all gonna get involved in certain things of culture and be, influenced by one another. I gotta be a part of something. I gotta be a part of a gang. I don't want to be a part of nothing because I had anxiety, so I didn't want to be a part of none of y'all cliques. That was the point. People wonder how the hell I made it not gangbanging. I didn't want to be around nobody, so how the hell I'm gonna be in a gang? And the first thing I'm trying to do is get away from y'all pack animals. I didn't want to have nothing to do with that. Why? Anxiety. It wasn't because I was afraid of people. No, I just could not manage myself around them, or so I perceived it. Until I was forced to be, and then my abilities, my social abilities would shine at that point. So if you're going to force me around everybody, then of course I'm going to be fine. Because I can do that. I'm a broadcaster. I could talk to 1 million people at once if I have to. It's not part of the anxiety. It's what I'm doing right now. God knows how many people are going to watch this. That ain't the problem. It's the anticipation of having to do that and the conditioning of managing it that I was used to. I went through some circumstances I didn't even have to go through, man. I'm dealing with shit like this, what I'm going through right now. Checkout time is noon. I have no idea when to live after that. It's because I was managing my anxiety. All of it pushed me to this very space. This very space. Why don't I have connections that can help me through this? Anxiety. Why didn't I do certain things that would otherwise keep me having an education? Anxiety. I didn't want to go to school. Why? Anxiety. Same reason why I didn't want to sit in the restaurant with mom. Most of the time. Because I didn't even want to be around nobody. I wanted to hurry up and get home into my comfortable space where I didn't feel judged, where I did feel safe. That's all it was about. Everything was about that. The comfort of my own mindset. You know, a lot of times doing homework made me uncomfortable. As I was telling you guys last night, as I was looking up hotels and stuff like that, it made me, I don't want to do it. Brain start going into malfunction mode. I can't focus. Yeah, that was that too. Whatever the hell that is, that ain't anxiety or depression. It's a third problem that I have yet to be diagnosed with. It's that thing that only allows me to focus on things that I really want to focus on. And everything else that's not so good, that requires me to be stressed, requires me to take tests and things like that, I really, nah. Testing my memory and stuff like that, nah. Learning about various different history and stuff like that. I remember, social studies class, no. Anytime I try to focus on that, I start getting a headache. Ottoman Empire, that crap out of here. Where the Lakers at? Because I can focus on what I wanted to focus on. I can master what I wanted to focus on. Music, with patterns and riffs, tone, and things that are like cadence, intentions, things that patterns of drum patterns, stuff like that. I always excelled in stuff like that. I excelled in my samba class. Samba, for those who don't know, is a Brazilian music. They do dance and different drums and various different things. I excelled in all of that. I was the sole snare in the band. There was only one snare. It was me. I excelled in it. I mastered that in a couple months. Like things that have to do with patterns and rhythm, I can master that stuff quickly. That's why I do the playlist. That's why I think I'm one of the best playlist curators in the world, because I got perfect pitch and I know cadence. And I grew up with drum patterns in my head, so it's nothing to put myself in a position to blend music. It's what I'm great at. I listen to Kanye West. He said he understands patterns, riffs. Like, yeah, me too, bro. Most people like us probably do. Patterns. That's what I understand. That's why I'm able to teach y'all about the people behind the curtain, because I see their patterns. That's why I'm able to tell y'all about the enemy, because I see his patterns. That's what the Lord made us to become, people who can see things that other people don't see, because y'all too busy adapting to the various randomness that's out there. Let me go over here, let me go over there, and over here, and over there. No, we going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we will continue that till we master that pattern. So when you take that application of understanding in patterns, and you can place it anywhere, music, art, entertainment, whatever the pattern would be. Yeah, I bet you I could probably master sewing too. Why? Patterns. Stuff like that. Anything that has to do with a pattern, just give me a couple repetitions, I'll figure it out. Even if it's very complex in nature, if you give me long enough, I'll figure it out. That's why I never had problems driving to and from different places. That's why I have no problem walking down to my little place to get bread and stuff like that, because all I need is to see the pattern 1 or 2 times. I'll find my way there. Easy. Never remember street names when I was a child. Never. But I could always get myself where I needed to go. Why? It's a pattern. I don't care if it's 100 streets, fam. If I take it 3 or 4 times, if I figure it out, I'm gonna figure it out. You know what people used to ask me, what freeway is what? I don't know, fam. I'm just following the pattern I know. I know what street to turn on because I remember how it went. Left, right, left, go this far, get off over here, take this lane, go over here. That's how I equated everything. All the driving, it was always that. It was always that. You get to Santa Monica, pattern. I don't know what freeway that is. I couldn't tell you right now. I wasn't hardly even paying attention to the signs. Didn't need to. Could look around, see the pattern. Like, all of it's starting to make sense to me now, man. So yeah, man, I still don't know where the hell I'm gonna live tomorrow. But then again, I don't necessarily have the funds to reserve the hotel, as I've already said. So looking up hotels and reserving hotels without funds doesn't really make sense. I could try to reserve the room, but I don't know how long I can stay. But I for some reason, I just don't. my faith in God and my ability to identify his patterns makes it so that I kind of know what he's going to do next in regards to myself. He's going to find a way for me to lay my head somewhere. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know where. But I'm going to find myself somewhere. And when I do, I'm going to praise God. I see his patterns, man. And I think because I see his patterns, and literally because of it, I can prove he exists. This is what I've been doing in these therapy sessions as well. Proving he exists. Leaning on pure faith while I try to manage my head without actually knowing that it wasn't necessary. But that I live this way, he allows for me to now help y'all, whoever's on the other end of this camera, understand some things that ain't no other human being gonna teach you, bro. Nobody else gonna teach you this stuff I know. Because ain't nobody going through it the way that I'm going through it. Nobody else is comfortable enough to tell anybody about it if they're going through it, because they too busy trying to fit in with everybody else and worried about how they gonna seem when they're vulnerable. Because you got to fit in with everybody. I got anxiety. I don't need to fit in with none of y'all. You know what I'm saying? All these different things that people do because they trying to fit in with others, so they take on evil things. They're going to do what everybody else does because it works. Nah, I got a connection with God. I don't have to do that. Hours and hours and hours of praying, applying the faith to God that a lot of people are not crazy enough to apply, has taught me that he exists for real. So I'm able to show y'all how he works in timing. I'm able to show you how he works. So I figured it out. It's in the clock. And people who are looking for proof that God exists, it's in the clock, fam. It's in how he does things by way of timing and patterns. And you looking for proof, that's your proof. You ain't gonna find it nowhere else. You're gonna find it in how he operates in the clock. It's all there. That's the math right there. People going through all different types of hula hoops, trying to go to church here and that, trying to do all this, gonna go to war for 1,000,000 years. They don't even know how he operates. They doing everything he hates that they do. They're like, bro, he don't like none of that stuff y'all doing in certain ways. Y'all gotta stay out of here because you don't look a certain way. Y'all love a certain way. He don't care about none of that, bro. He don't care about none of that. I promise you don't. None of the stuff y'all think it gets you closer to God, get you closer to God. What gets you closer to God is meditation and respecting what it is that is most important, which is he loves first. Everything he created, he loves, including that enemy of ours. He loved it. That's why he ain't wiped it away yet. That's why he ain't sent us into Revelations yet, because he really doesn't want to kill the devil. He created him. He loves him. That's the problem. That's why we suffer. That's exactly why we suffer. You know what I mean? Like, and some stuff is like, yo, I don't even know how much time he wants me to live, because it's almost like I figured certain things out. On a day like this, I think I done figured out just about everything it is for me to figure out now. There was one more day for me to be completely clear on what it is I am and what it is he is. I got it. I get it now. I literally get it. I know what I am and I know what God is. God is trying to find a way to love us while still loving that one that got away. That is the problem. He loves the one that got away and he can't destroy him, and as a result, he's running amok. That's it. That is the secret to life. That's why suffering exists, why hatred exists, why evil exists, why people get away with doing evil, because he can't bring himself to wipe that dude away. That's it. That's all it is. I heard the Spirit of the Lord said you gave me a lot to think about when you said that. It's like nobody ever said that to you. I'm sure other people have said that to you. The reality is most human beings and most living creatures are too busy trying to fit in with one another to actually sit back and think of mind in the perspective of a God. Not me. I spend my whole life alone connecting with a God if possible. Or pissing him off my own way, for which I've done many times. And he knocked me around. Y'all need to go back and watch some of them old therapy sessions. From 1 to whatever we're at right now. You will know exactly what I'm talking about. All of it's proven. All of it's been talked about. You'll see me go through all different types of stuff trying to work around my mental health. Trying to prove to y'all God works through the timing. And you will have seen it. You will have seen it a million times. You watch all them episodes. It's all there. Many people trying to prove God without actually knowing how to prove God. I proved it. He there. So now I gotta apply faith and wait for him to do what it is that I know he's gonna do, which is save me from myself or save me from the circumstances that these circumstances created. By just me managing my mental health and having to push everything to the end of the line for myself, trying to put off everything that would otherwise make me feel anxious. It just brings you to this space right here where you have to deal with it all any damn way. That's what it does. It makes you deal with it all anyway. You can just put it off, and eventually you got to deal with everything at once. And that's what this is. But he's not punishing me for doing that, because he knows I wasn't cultivating a place where people could teach me that was never necessary. It's never my fault that I did that. I thought I had to do that based on what I was taught. Because it was never okay to not be okay. But it's okay. It is okay to not be okay. It's okay to figure that out later in life too. It's okay to be me. It's okay to be God, man. I'm not God, by the way, but I'm just saying from his perspective, it's okay to be him. You don't have to have it all together. You don't want to wipe away the demons because you love them and you created them too. That's on you. But understand that you're making us all suffer through this. While you figure out who should more or less be gone and who should stick around, you letting the enemy take so many of us, by way of our need to get along with one another, by way of our need to create, to not get along, but like fit in is the word. Not get along, definitely not get along, but fit in with one another. I gotta fit in. Do you? Yes. Why? Because if I don't, I'm on the outside. Okay, what happens when you're on the outside? I don't know. See, a lot of y'all suffer from that type of anxiety. Y'all afraid to not be around people. Y'all afraid to not fit in. Y'all afraid to be what it feels like when you don't have others. And when you don't have others, what you end up finding is yourself and God. And that's what isolation has taught me. If you truly believe, and I was lucky enough to be raised in a family that believed, so I took God literally. He doesn't like me to do certain things. All right, I ain't gonna do them. Or I did do them. Okay, he knocked me down. I ain't gonna do them again. Or I'm gonna work against doing those things because I know they are sin. That's to where a lot of us with our cultures, we're just gonna go toward that sin anyway. And we're gonna get around people that are working with the enemy or don't believe in God, so we end up by that nature working with the enemy just anyway. And getting these cultures that are evil by nature. Good people in evil cultures. And it's like, yeah, you're trying to fit in with everybody else who doing evil stuff. So of course you're gonna be on the wrong side of God and end up taking the brunt of that. Of course, that's how that works. And you're gonna continue to play on the enemy's team because of it, trying to fit in with other humans that don't get it, just like you. You need to sit somewhere in a corner by yourself, learn you, find God, trust the timing, and watch him work. You know how many people ain't figured that out but want to teach people how to love God, how to believe in God, they don't know this stuff. They don't know. They ain't never took the time to figure it out because they too busy trying to fit in with others. You can't fit in my church. You know, you can't come to my church. That's a human thing. You trying to fit in with other people that don't have no answers. You got to come to my church and we get together. No, you don't. No, you listen to other people who told you that, who think they understand but never did the work. In a lot of cases. Not everybody, but in a lot of cases. So you end up going to these churches or you go into these circumstances, you get in these cultures, you get in these gangs, you get in these little groups, you get in your little skull and bones group, whatever the hell your group is, and you end up listening to people who don't understand that all good things come from a source and return to said source. That is it. And there's a key to everything. When we worry about what we cannot get or people passing away or what ends up leaving our lives, if it's a good thing, it's going back to God. If it's a good thing, it came from God. That is the crux of the existence we're in. And if you apply that to the truth of your life, you will be much more likely to let things go. People, things, circumstances, times, groups, whatever the hell you're in that you think is a good thing. If it didn't come from God, it ain't going back to him. If it did come from God, he's going to come back and get it. Period. So all good people, all that, that's it going back to God. But the thing about that is that if you're good, you're going back too. So you're going to be reunited with everything you lost. If it's good and so are you, you're going to be right back where? With it when the time comes. But as I've already said, God's got to figure out this one thing, that enemy of his is, I can't tell you what it's worth saving, but I can tell you you're losing a lot of people because you want to keep him going. That's what it really comes down to. He's losing a lot of people because he want to keep that thing in existence. I always had a theory about the enemy, and the enemy was God's own self-loathing. He beating himself up for whatever he did, for whatever his intentions are. He beating himself up and he letting the devil be the reason it does, that it happens. It don't have to be no yin and yang. It ain't never necessary. You God, you don't have to have no yang. But he made us in his image, and we always beat ourselves up. Why? For the one that got away. Who knows? It's a cycle, man. He lost the devil to the devil's own ways. You know, he want to be God himself. So God don't want to destroy him. So he lets the devil beat him up. Let him beat him around. Let him kick him around. Take some of his people, send him to the ground, send him to hell. And it's like, none of that's necessary, man. Just wipe him out. Love yourself. You've created so many good things. You don't need nothing bad. Nothing bad has to exist. It don't have to exist. But God ain't there yet. He's not ready for that yet. For whatever reason, he's not ready to say goodbye to the thing that he created to beat him up. And we wonder why we beat ourselves up. We made in his image. You wonder why it's hard for you to motivate yourself, or why you always hard on yourself. God does that to himself. By the way, the enemy that he just cannot let go of. And I told y'all, when I said that a little earlier today, when I was thinking about that, the Spirit of the Lord, the energy that came to me was, you gave me a lot to think about. You gave me a lot to think about. It's like, how else is a man supposed to perceive that? A man who truly believes in God, who doesn't need to fit in with everybody else, who's not looking to do anything other than love you, but is still taking the brunt of the energy of the enemy. How else am I supposed to perceive that, God? When I know that my mental illness is in the way of everything I've ever would have enjoyed in life. The subject of the enemy that's capped off my whole perspective, capped off my whole potential. I know what that is. It's a spiritual block, just like my uncle and the spiritualist said. And why is that spiritual block in place? To keep me from basically doing whatever it is the Lord wants me to do in its fullest capacity. And why does such a thing exist? Because the Lord won't let go of the enemy. So don't let go. So he tells us we gotta wait it out, wait for revelations, gotta bring back to Christ. You let, and I'm speaking freely, though there are a lot of religions that would otherwise not agree with this, but I know Christ, so I already know this is true. He let his own son be slaughtered in the name of helping us overcome sin. Sin that's only in place because we need to fit in. Fit in with what? Each other. And by way of that, the enemy manipulates us through that sin. It's the enemy. It's that devil, man. It's the one that got away. That's why Jesus was slaughtered. He created Jesus as a sacrifice for his own sin, which is the devil. That's why his version of his human self had to suffer. Because he beating himself up. I keep telling you, it just comes back around to that. And see, that's the thing about it. Like, I know Christ. I also know Buddha's a wonderful human being who a lot of people pray to. I also know that Islam is real and God is connected to that, and you can call him Allah, he'll answer back. I know these things. I know these things. I don't think it, I know it. And just as I know that, I know Jesus is real. Was real. It's a good energy, loving energy. Part of the Godhead, as my mom used to call it, three-pronged Godhead. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit left here as our comforter on earth. Spirit of Christ is in heaven, looking to return to earth. And God, of course, is God himself. But God's the one that be having the wrath. He the one that want to wipe stuff away. He don't want to wipe out a whole world and Adam, not Adam and Eve. What's the dude? Noah's Ark. It's wiped. It's wrath, man. That's anger. You know who engages in anger? I don't even tell y'all who energy that is. I'm telling y'all, man. The only reason why the enemy exists is because the Lord created him, and I don't know if I have a right to say, but I don't know that the Lord really understood all this time, man. I don't really know that he's had self-awareness to realize that the enemy itself was just an extension of him, beating himself up for letting the enemy get away. It's a cycle. It's just a cycle, man. That's all it is. It's the same type of cycle we get into when we have an addiction, when we beat ourselves up. It's the same thing, made in his image. Like I said, when I said it this morning, he told me, he gave me something to think about. I don't think revelations even have to happen, y'all. I don't think so, man. I think that's a rigmarole type of dance that God is doing. It ain't really even necessary, man. All he had to do is this. I love myself, and there's no need for an enemy anymore. That's all he got to do. Ain't no need for an enemy no more, and the enemy won't be the enemy no more. That dude ain't run amok. You let him be that. If you want him not to be that, he don't be that no more. And that's me speaking truth to the Lord. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.